Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Latinas Unboxed, where we talk about the difficulties that are in our community that we face. This week's episode is about oversexualization in women. And you know we're gonna speak facts. I feel like in our community, oversexualization is a very, very big thing at a very young age. So I just wanted to touch on that and see if you guys have any experiences, comments, anything about the topic.
I think we're definitely exposed to sexuality from a very, very young age. And I know from like when I was like 6 or 7 years old, like my family always used to say to me like, oh, you know, like close your legs, like you don't want guys to be looking up your skirt, or you know, tapese acá, no se vaya bañar en casas ajenas o cosas así.
Yeah, in terms of since when we were young, we can't call our things as vaginas. It's always like la cosita. But if you see a man, a guy, a boy in Colombia, he will go out waving his willy and it's like idolized. It's amazing. Yeah. But with our things, it's always like, no, esconde la cosita, cuidado con la cosita, cuídese su cosita. I feel like we shouldn't really be like la cosita. Like we actually say the names of the things as they are. Like because if guys go in Colombia, they say, ay, mi penito, mi willy, and it's idolized. It's like it's normal. But we should be proud to be like, yeah, this is what it's called. It's not una cosita. It's not una mariposita.
I call it coquita. That's what I call it. When I turned 15 and we had our quinceañera, and it was just like, okay, so now you are a woman. And for me, 15, that I don't look at 15-year-olds as women. So basically, a quinceañera began centuries ago, and it's like the equivalent of a super sweet 16. But now for us, it's like a coming of age party. Whereas before, it was like you were 15 years old, you were now ready to marry, you are seen as like a woman, which I feel like is a bit. I don't know, it's very problematic because there's so much more to us than just getting married and becoming a housewife. But then also at 15 years old, your mind isn't developed. You know, your body is still forming until you're 21 years old. Right. And it's just like, what are we actually teaching our girls here? Because now there are 15-year-olds, and I speak from my own experience. My family, I've got 15-year-old girls that want their boobs done as a present for their kids. And
that's completely normal. That was the present back in the day. That was the present. Girls at 15 years old were getting their boob job done as a present.
How many girls do we know from here that have gone back to Colombia at 15 years old and they had their whole body done?
But it was a thing, and I think it was again glamorized by the narco culture. Because it was such a thing that whenever someone turned 15, it was gifted, or if a drug lord or whatever saw schoolgirls, and then they would send them to get all done up and get them done up for themselves.
And that's why digging into what we were speaking on last episode, that's also another reason as to why I get so angry at glorifying the narco life, when there was history before where the narcos would go to schools to find the most prettiest girls, take them, get them to have surgery, and then they become basically their women.
In my quinceañera, when I turned 15 many moons ago, mine was very innocent though. Mine was of such a beautiful experience that I had, you know, my chambered land, which is basically your prince, isn't it? At 15, and you do the choreographies, you practice for months on it. I had my damas, I had 15 girls, I had 15 boys.
It's expensive. I show people pictures and they say it's at a wedding.
Everything. And I would love to pass that on to my young girls. Like, I would love to, and I will do that. Like the way my mum never, and I've got to give it to my mum. She never said to me at 15, you are now a woman. She didn't put that pressure on me. No. So I had a really nice experience in my quince. So I didn't have that experience of, you know, me quiero hacer las tetas, or I want to get my body done. However, did I have girls in my court that had surgery at that tender age? Yes.
We've always had the body that girls wanted.
Exactly.
Because I remember being a young age and always looking up to you like,
everyone
I want this body.
Can I just say, that has always, as much as, a lot of people were saying, oh, I want your body and I'm wanting your hips and your bum. That is what's always made me feel like this. And like I had nothing else to offer but what you see on my shell. And I know I have a lot going on up here. And it took a long time, because I remember being in DGR when I used to sing in the reggaeton group, and it was the first reggaeton group that was out there in the Latin community. So it was
in London.
in the UK. And we were doing big shows, like we done Coco in Camden, and we done Carnaval del Pueblo every year for 7 years running, and I got very popular. I was the only female in that group, and I remember I used to get like old men at the tender age of 16, and we're talking old men, like they were in their 40s,
and they know how old
and they know how old I am, and they would come and like say things to me, and I would never forget one specific man coming behind me and whispering in my ear and just doing the whole and you can feel your skin like just and it was just like, uy mamacita, what I would do to you. And then he kept on coming back, and I felt so sick. Like I kept moving away from him, and he kept coming like near me and kind of like throwing little comments.
From that experience, like, don't you think that it at some points it made you feel culpable? Like, did you feel like it was your fault?
Yeah, you were being promiscuous. It was my fault for wearing the tight jeans and the descairados and showing my body at 16, which
but that was our fashion. It was descairados and the short little belly tops. I remember being in Colombia and I was 14 and I had my belly button pierced and I had like my short little top on and mis descairados, and I was walking and un viejo canoso, like he was disgusting. He was like, venga, le doy un besito en esa mariposa, like when my belly button, because I had a belly button piercing in. That is just don't do it. But nobody, nadie dijo nada. Because do you know what it is? It's just like it's so normalized that older men go for the younger girls, even down to the music that we listen to, that we don't even clock what we are hearing. There's so many songs there that are telling us like, yo, I'm a bit of a paedophile. And if I see your child in school, then, oh my god,
Colegiala. And I think that's kind of a bit traumatic as well, in the sense of that we've been sexualized from a very, very young age. Like if we go around here asking each other when was the first time we got sexualized, it's going to be mad numbers. So
we probably won't even remember because it's so
young.
I guess the question is, why is machismo still so prevalent in...
What is machismo?
So machismo is the belief that women are subordinate to men, and that their purpose is to serve the needs and desires of men. And it's so rife in Latin America, and you see that in the way that there are really, really high rates of feminicide, which is women being killed purely because they are women. So like, because there is this machismo, this belief that women are subordinate. So the way to dominate and be powerful is like abuse, even I think oversexualization is an element of that. It's a power thing. Because you become an object. If you are just desired for your sexuality, your body, you become an object, you become less than.
You start to believe it.
It's such a belittling someone.
Which is why, like, women now have used that to their advantage in whatever kind of industry that they go into, unfortunately. Like, you've got like the Nati Natashas, the Becky G's, the Carol G's are out here doing the most, and it's just like, that's great that you guys are beautiful and you're amazing, but fucking hell, there's so much more to us. And like just getting naked.
That's exactly what it is.
By the way, I love them. So Carol G, cuando quiere colaborar, por favor.
But what I was also going to say, I feel like in our community, I don't know if you guys might agree, but we're kind of taught to be a woman too young. I feel like that it doesn't allow us to kind of enjoy the childhood and being a teenager. It's like,
and the worry and the fear,
because from 15, like you say, you're seen as kind of a woman, not to the extent before that you would be able to marry, but you're still seen as you now need to be like kind of a woman.
But I also believe it depends on your childhood. In case this touches anyone, I'm sorry, but it does relate a lot. Is how is your upbringing? How was your upbringing? Because like Vanessa, I did not know what a quinceañera meant. Mine was mad innocent, like Vanessa said. Where I learned about this whole quinceañera and then this whole play bagos, because that is a certain word for these girls that are in school, and
it is prostitution.
No, it is prostitution. But
absolutely,
they go, like you said, to the schools. But I saw it, and again, it's all the media. What they portray is sin teta no hay paraíso or some other novela, and they literally show what the.
But that's the reality.
But that's the reality.
And that's why I think it stemmed from that being the history and the culture that we had before, that it was literally younger girls.
But it must go from further back.
So let's have a history. I think we need to analyze this from like back in the day with colonialism, because when Christopher Columbus came, it's documented. You know, he knew that his men were stealing young indigenous girls and sex trafficking them from as young as 9 and 10 years old. There's accounts of him gifting indigenous women to other men, like, oh yes, look, have a woman, go do what you want with her. So from back then, you're embedding this machista culture, right? Then you have Amerigo Vespucci, who was, you know, the Americas is named after him. Yeah. He's writing accounts over to the Europeans going, oh, these indigenous women are lustful, just because he saw that they would dress differently. So then there's this belief that, you know, that indigenous women are sexual, exotic. I mean, the Spanish society, they already had a lot of gender inequality where women were subordinate, and that kind of culture, because of colonization, that became embedded in our culture, like our mix, our mestizaje, a mixture of cultures, and that's still embedded within our society to this day. You know, it's seen in different things, like with the narcos, you know, stealing young girls from school and manipulating, because
some women went by their choice, but they were kind of like,
they were grooming them. They were washing them.
That's the word. But also, because it's like the way back then with colonization is to colonize a nation, you colonize its women and their bodies, and
you take over. You take control.
Yeah, you take control.
You take power over the woman.
The woman, because they're the ones. Guess what? You have babies with the women, and you become a mixed. You whiten the race. Unfortunately, that's essentially what has happened, and it's through women's bodies. And it's still to this day we feel the effects through this over-sexualization, through manipulation of our body. We even now believe we have to be sexual because that's what we get taught. So it's really it's deeply embedded within our society.
And as time goes on, and then we're living in a society that we're taught to be like, this woman, a woman does this and a woman does that, and we're so embedded into that. I feel like if you're anything other than that, then you're kind of not accepted. Because, for example with me, I grew up being like a tomboy, and I used to only hang around with guys. I used to kick footballs around, and I remember from my whole family, I used to get cussed out the way I sat from such a young age. Like, this is talking like a little bit before my quinces. So it's like my quince was like the big transition of me kind of becoming actually into feminine. Because I remember a lot of my family used to tell me, I think tenemos que, like, usted porque quiere ser actriz, and that you need to go pay for these classes to be more feminine. That's it. So it's like I transitioned a lot into being feminine because I didn't like it. I didn't really like it, and then once I did transition to that was all I knew, and that's all I had to do.
Funny you say that, because I do that with my oldest daughter. She's 5, and she is a little bit of she's all over the place. She's a bit of a tomboy. I let her be free, but I do say to her when she's sitting with her legs wide open and she's wearing a dress, Maya, please close your legs.
Yeah, I didn't even want to wear a dress though. That was the
sometimes she doesn't even want to. I don't force her. If she wants to wear trousers, she can wear trousers. You don't have to be feminine and, you know, be the girly girl and wear pink all the time as we're portrayed to be, but more so quererse como una mujer and just
protect yourself as well.
It's more so that.
But that's because in our culture, I mean, in today's society, women, we have to protect ourselves, regardless of ethnicity or race.
It's not about teaching your sons not to be fucking madmen.
Exactly. And that's the problem. We always blame the woman and not blame the man, but that's a whole nother story. Another thing that I wanted to talk about in the over-sexualization is the surgery part of things, specifically in our community, because as you know, it's a very big thing. So I wanted to ask you ladies if you've ever felt the pressure to go under the knife, and if so, at what age?
Absolutely.
You know, I wouldn't say pressure. I just was just like, it was just
normal.
Like, as in,
it's not frowned upon.
Expected. It was everyone in my family had surgery. I was like, of course I'm going to have surgery. Like,
no one in my family
was
has had
normal.
surgery. No one in my family has
That's
had
very
surgery.
rare. I
Very
think
rare.
that is very rare.
Very rare.
That is really
My
rare.
mum is the only person that hasn't had surgery in my family, and that's where I feel so happy that that's the case. Because if not, I would have felt even more of the pressure that I already felt. And me being a younger girl, like even now at my age, I still feel like the ultimate goal is to have this body, and the thing that pisses me off the most is that I can have this body, but I can do it in other ways. I don't need to go under the
But
knife.
can we remember as well, and I feel this is the problem with a lot of women, and it's really sad, and especially the younger generation coming in and thinking that it's the way and it's going to make me feel amazing. No, because if you're not fixed up here and in here, out here, it doesn't matter how many times you get your boobs done, so no matter how many times you get your bum done or your lipo or this and that. Exactly, you are not fulfilled. You don't love yourself from within.
You're seeking that validation in everything.
And you're not going to be happy. Having surgery is not going to make you happy.
But there were so
I'm really
many
glad
things.
we've understood that now.
Now,
There's so many things that have influenced us, like, you know, the woman has to be 90, 60, 90. Like, I don't know where did that come from.
I'm so sick of hearing that from my aunties and uncle. Every time I go to Colombia.
Exactly.
Ay, pero es que usted tenía la cinturita así, ¿qué pasó?
¿Qué le pasó? But and
I
then it's like,
had two kids. What do you mean?
It comes from your family. It comes from your culture. It comes from the media. Like the pressure is intense. And like you said, it's
what age did you feel that pressure?
I felt it very, very young, and like you said, it was expected. Like I remember being, I remember being maybe like 12. Like when we were talking about when you've been sexualized, that was the first time I remember being sexualized, and men saying to me in Colombia, "Flaca, tírame un hueso." Like because I was very skinny. I was such a little twig, and my cousins and like friends of similar age would be like, "Don't worry, you'll grow into them. Don't worry, you'll get boobs."
So that didn't even help it.
Exactly.
They were trying to help.
I was constantly waiting. I was constantly waiting for something to kick in, and then unfortunately,
I did not come.
They did not come.
They did not grow.
They did not come. I had to pay for them. Right?
So you've actually had them done.
I had surgery, and I never regret it.
Why should you have surgery?
I was 21.
Okay.
I was 21 when I had surgery.
But even then, I think that's young though.
It is.
I
It
think
is
it's
young.
very
young.
Do you know what the thing is? It was very young, but it was like there was nothing wrong with it. There was it was expected. It was like most of my family had it done. Everyone in the culture gets it done, but also at the time, which is quite backwards, I was doing Miss Great Britain, right? So I did Miss Great Britain at 20. I won at 20, so I won with no surgery. Right. Wow. And then going there, I saw how all the Latinas had surgery. Most people had surgery like fresh. Like there was Miss Panama who had literally just had everything done. She had like her everything. Like, you see the little like la cintica and everything. And when I went to get handed my my bikini, the actual organizers, the people who were doing costume, gave me my bikini and said, "Oh, we've double padded it for you."
Oh wow.
So I was like, and that's not even me wanting it. Like I put my hands up, I wanted it. My family was like, when you're old enough, whatever. But in the industry, people were telling me and giving it to me already, like so you're not good enough already, so you need to adjust.
Because it's literally what's expected from us to have this amazing, perfect body. Like you said, the ratio has to all be on point. My experience with that, like from a very young age, I always wanted to have like my boobs done. I always wanted a big bum and a tiny waist. I'm somebody that came from like multiple eating disorders, because I was just like, when am I ever going to have like this perfect body? And even up to now, I'm not 100% comfortable. But I actually got liposuction when I was 19 in Harley Street, only because I couldn't get my arse over to Colombia. Otherwise, I would have gone to Colombia to get my... No, it was like a Groupon thing. It was a Groupon thing, and I was like, what? £1,000? Bitch, I am there. And I remember,
do not get lipo on Groupon.
No, you don't follow on because the experience was so traumatizing, because I wasn't even like I didn't have general anesthetic or anything like that. I was sedated, but I was seeing them like pull out the fat from me, and I looked great. I looked banging for like 4 or 5 months. I was like, what? Muffin tops where, bitch? And then I just got like really, really comfortable. And that's the thing, going back to what you're saying, if you're not right in your mind and in your heart, you don't feel confident, then there's nothing. Because my mum has been the first one in the UK to have surgery, and she got everything done, and she looks amazing. And when I mentioned that I wanted to do the same thing, she was like, yeah, it's fine, aquí le tengo the surgeon's number, vamos para allá, like I'll get you the appointment and everything. And this was after my baby. Now when you have a child in this in being Colombian, the pressure of getting back to what you looked like is second to none. Like it's
the mummy made
Fájese.
Oh, I hate that.
Solo vaya a tomar sopa. Solo vaya a tomar agua.
La dieta.
Agua caliente con limón. Like you need to no se vaya a dejar engordar. Like come on guys. Like seriously. And it's just like, bro, I just want to be a mum, you know.
Like, and I think that's also for an example, not even just the body. Like for me, the only type of, because I don't know where my boobs grew from, but they grew from one moment to the other. So I was literally like,
give me some.
And then when I know. So then when I got my boobs, they were like the prize, because where everyone else had boobs, and I thought that was the thing that you needed to be.
That's it.
Sexy or be woman. Yeah. When I grew them, they were literally like they were like a ticket to wherever. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So they grew from one second to the other. So I didn't have a problem with that transition. But then with my like nose, I don't know what for me, but I used to get comments about my nose in my family. I felt really insecure about my nose. But that was from such a young age. So it's like from this thing is 15, like where I was now getting the comments about women or whatever this, I feel like all those insecurities stemmed up from it. And I don't know about you guys, but every time I go to a family moment, all they have to mention is if I've lost weight or if I've put weight on. So to me, I think those pressures are so
you can't tell your auntie that she's looking a bit.
And you don't want to go back to Colombia either, because when you go back to Colombia, they're expecting you to look some kind of way.
Yeah, Vanessa said earlier about, you know, it all comes from within. I just wish that was really, you know, instilled in us from an early age, because like. And for anyone who has had surgery, like I'm not anti-surgery. I've had it, and I'm not like pro-surgery. I think if it brings you confidence and brings you stability and happiness in that moment of your life, then great, because it did. But do I regret it? No. But would I tell my younger self or my daughter to get it? No, because I just wish that I had the self-confidence and the love of myself that I have now
to love yourself how you
when I was 20 and I wasn't pressured into it.
I also think, I'm not a mum, but we can teach our boys to not sexualize girls young, because my insecurities came from the Latin boys in our community saying, "¿Dónde está el culo?" I'm like, oh, okay.
From someone that has enough culo to go around for everybody, and being sexualized because I had that big bottom and everyone was like, I want her bottom. The pressure of upkeeping it. For one, and two, you don't want that. It's such a horrible feeling to have to. I covered myself up for so many years. I wore baggy tracksuits and like, long tops. Like to this day, sometimes I still kind of try hide it because it's a horrible feeling. I just feel like as women, we're never going to be satisfied whether we have it or we don't have it. Yeah, exactly.
About the pressure, since I was little, so it's never been a thing that I've been pressured into having any kind of surgery or anything, because since she did that, I've been doing like dances with Hazel and stuff, and Canal Libello, and the outfits that we would wear would be exposing my gordos, and yes, I would rock it.
We saw you. We like, and they were so confident. You were so confident. I would be in the same outfits as you, and I'd be like, oh my god, I feel like so flaca. Like I didn't like it. So watching you don't even know, but your confidence is contagious, and admirable from me.
I think you knowing your self-love and your self-worth, that's what we're trying to emphasize for everyone else to have. It's just loving your body, and I feel like something that we can change for our next generation is also just teaching them that self-love and not being so criticón over the weight and this and this and that. So that's what I think I would push.
You're completely right. And I think that the problem with surgery is that really what surgery allows for us to do is to not deal with mental health issues. Because, you know, what you mentioned earlier about eating disorder, that's something that I've also experienced, because I had like really, I had extreme body dysmorphia from a very young age, and the hate that I felt for myself, you know, led to years of like disordered eating and you know, and that's not healthy. But I always had this idea in my head like, no, but it's okay because one day I'm going to get surgery. So you never deal with these issues because you always think that there's a fix, but it's not a fix. It's you have to deal with loving yourself, and we don't get taught that enough.
I feel like we just need to understand our worth as women and just not sexualize ourselves. Sexualization is going to happen, but we need to not over-sexualize ourselves and understand.
Also, if you are happy to over-sexualize yourself, and if you're happy to exude,
because a woman should be
absolutely
but like in the sense of over-sexualization yourself, like in the negative way
for
that
other
people,
for
yourself, that is fine.
Yes,
exactly. I actually that own that.
That's my whole shit. What we want you to take from this video is just like do whatever makes you happy. Like let's not just live to what society teaches us or what our parents teaches us or the expectations of our families. Just do whatever makes you happy, because at the end of the day, any choice that you make, you have to live with it.
But yeah, guys, that is the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to leave a comment below and just let us know any thoughts on this topic. And yeah, thank you for watching this video, and we will see you on our next one. Bye.